Okay, so I started writing about self-promotion and I suddenly realized I could write an entire book about it, and I don't want to do that. So Walt and I have been talking about the idea of how icky self-promotion can feel, especially in the beginning when you're not really, when you don't really understand what it's about. So I grew up in a household where there were two basic mottos or themes at play almost all the time. And the first one was my dad's motto, that if you intimacy breeds contempt, which means if you really let people know you, they're not going to like you. And the other one was my mom's favorite, is like, don't break your arm patting yourself on the back, which means don't brag. And so when I went out into the work world, I didn't stand out. I was a salaried employer. I was like a chemical salesperson. And if I had a cubicle, you would never see any evidence of me. I mean, I had no pictures, no thingies, nothing that would identify anything about my life, because I didn't want people digging around in that. I really liked to stay under the radar, and I really liked anonymity. So when I started dating Walt years later, his self promotion tactics astounded me. I mean, we'd be out running in some place, and we would come across some random stranger, and within a minute, Walt is saying, "Hey, if you need legal services, I got a law office in town. Like if you need this or if you need that," and then he'd like whip out his business card, and I'm like, "Dude, like what the hell is that?" He's like, "Hey, I got a small business, and the only way to build a small business is to let people know what you do." And so it took me a while to get okay with letting people know what I do and talking about that. And one of the fears we have when we start talking about what we do is that people that we know are going to call us out on it. They're going to say things like, "Who do you think you are? I know you, and you're like trying to be something and all that in a bag of chips." And I think we don't talk about ourselves or what we do because that's one of the fears that we have, that the people that we travel with are not going to cotton to that. And that has happened to me. When I first started talking about my ideas, what I do, what I do for a living, there were folks who didn't like it or who didn't think that I um, had a right to be doing that. And I suppose the first time I heard somebody say that for every third grader, a fourth grader is a hero, it kind of opened things up for me, because I realized that even if I weren't the best in the field of, in my case, helping people write books, even if there are people who have been doing this for a lot longer, who got masses of successes that they can, demonstrate their skills with, like, I still got the goods. I can still help third graders do what I do. And so part of the fear is stepping out and having people call us a fraud or calling us a show off. And here's what I think about self-promotion now, and it's come through a lot of, putting myself out there and being really uncomfortable and dealing with criticism and learning how to roll with it, and oftentimes learning how to use it as a teaching point, and to use it actually, I think, is a great marketing technique, is that it's about building relationships. It's about talking, it's about sharing what you do, sharing your talents, sharing your ideas, sharing your um, experience with enough people where they recognize that, hey, maybe this person can help me.